And we're live. Hey guys, it's Jason with Kentucky Sustainable Living. I've got Shelly with Two Old Crows Homestead with us, and we've got Brian and Susan from S&B Homestead Radio tonight. And it's kind of funny. Cell phones went out today for a while, and I was like, this is kind of funny that we're doing an emergency comms and ham radio live tonight to talk about that. I'm like, fate intervened, and it's something that everybody's talking about. So,
right.
So
Randy just told me that was Randy just told me that was a cyber attack.
Well, everybody's been flooding it with TikTok that it was a solar flare or something like that, and nobody knows. Heck, it was probably the government doing something stupid.
Brian, I've heard a lot of that, but a solar flare is not going to affect that. It's because it was just pockets. If it was a big solar flare, it would have affected more regionally than what it did.
And it would have affected other stuff besides cell phones too, wouldn't it?
Yes. It would have. Radio 2-meter radio was working fine this morning. HF was working.
All right. Because
a lot of us were on 2-meter saying, hey, is your cell phone working? Doing the pace plan stuff.
Well, we'll kick it off. Brian, Susan, kind of give us who you are, what you do, kind of your backstory. So everybody, not everybody's met you. So kind of give them the backstory of how y'all got into ham radio and how you got into hanging out with Shelly and I.
We got into ham radio about 9 years ago, 10 years ago. For preparedness, to be honest with you. We realized that if the internet goes down or cell phones go down, you've got to have a way to communicate. You got to be able to get information because information is power. You can't make an informed decision if you don't have good quality information.
Yeah.
Now, Brian also grew up with a grandfather that was a ham radio operator, so he was exposed to it as a young person.
So, yeah, we got into it, listened on the radio for a long time before we found a group that would teach us radio and so we could get licensed. It took us over a year and a half of listening to the radio, and we finally got hooked up with a group, got licensed, and that kind of has what's motivated us to teach people and help them get licensed because we had such a hard time doing it.
Yeah.
And we were members of several clubs in the area, and then we founded our own radio group, which is Area 51 Radio Group Mississippi.
Why did you choose that name?
It has a history behind it.
Tell us.
A little bit.
We are actually sharing a space with a television station, and our local television station at one point had built this building, and it was where one of the engineers for the station built
the radio trucks,
the
satellite trucks, when they used to use satellite trucks, that's where they built them and stored them.
And at work, the joke became, where is so-and-so? And well, he's down at Area 51. So that's was the name of the building when we located it, and it's kind of stuck.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And we've got a unique group that we do stuff with. We don't have regularly scheduled monthly meetings. We get together about every other month, but we're active. We'll build antennas. We'll demonstrate radios. We'll do parks on the air training, or we'll have a meeting actually in a park. We do a lot of that, and we do a tremendous amount of training with people. That's what we do. We teach people how to talk on the radio. Field day just happened. And I think I made a total of 5 contacts myself, but I helped other people that have been licensed for a while talk on the radio.
Sometimes it's kind of intimidating when you first start talking on the radio. It's just, there's rules you're supposed to follow, and you don't know if you're saying the right thing or if you're calling the right thing or how to respond if somebody comes back.
Oh, for sure. It is kind of intimidating sitting there behind the radio. Like, I hope I don't screw up and stuff like that. But it's kind of like YouTube. You just got to get on there and do it, and screw up a few times, then you figure it out. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, I still wing everything I do. So,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you know, we like to play radio, as we call it.
well,
We go out into the parks and do what's called parks on the air, and you're out there and you're setting your radio up, and it's kind of like an emergency situation because you're putting your antenna up in a tree, you're using a portable setup, you're using battery power because all your radios are 12 volt, and you're setting up and figuring out what works and what doesn't work.
yeah, and the parks on the air, I want to get into more of that because that really appeals to me on setting up, and that is the big thing. You're setting up kind of in an emergency situation or on the go. You know, you stop, you throw your antenna up in a tree, get your radio out, do your stuff, and then scoot on down the road.
Well, you really have to practice. The first 3, 4, 5 times we went out, we weren't real successful. We thought we had everything. We thought we had it figured out, but it didn't work. We talked our first trip out, I think, to 3 people. We didn't do well at all.
Yeah, it's a pretty good learning curve setting up like that.
Tell Linda. Linda says she's intimidated to be obvious a newbie. Linda, everybody was a newbie at first, and it's not. It's intimidating for a minute, but you've got to have the mentality of screw everybody else. Everybody's got to learn. So, right, Brian?
That's right.
That's right.
Oh, look, when we got licensed, our Elmer, and in the ham radio world, your Elmer is your mentor. That's the person that teaches you how to talk on the radio. When we got our license, he said, okay, you now have your learner's permit. We're going to teach you radio. And that's what's happened. I mean, we're still best friends, and we do a lot of stuff together. We build a lot of antennas together. We fix radios, play with amplifiers.
How many antennas do you build?
Don't ask.
Don't ask. I know. I'm supposed to build 2 more. Somebody very special out there. And I had him some, but somebody else wanted them more than he did. So.
All right. I won't say anything else about the antennas tonight.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will. It'll be okay.
So I was wondering if you can take a minute for people like me who have no idea. Can you explain the different levels of licensing and what you can do with each one? Because I don't really understand that part of it.
There are 3 different levels of licensing. The first license, and you have to pass each one, the lowest level, to take the test for the next level.
Okay.
The lowest level is the technician license, and it will allow you to talk on what's called a 2-meter radio, which gives you a little bit of ham bands that talk long distance, but the 2-meter is most for talking around town or if you've got repeaters. And it's a short distance. It's considered line of sight. So those little radios, sometimes, unless you've got a repeater, don't go very far. They're great for around the homestead. They're great for in the neighborhood. Our daughter lives about 1.5 miles down the road from us, and she has her technician license because her daddy made her do it. And we can talk to her on the radio. And my brother lives on property next to us, and we talk to him on the radio all the time. It's just an easier way to communicate. The next level is a general license, and the general license is typically where a lot of people will get to and stay there. And it allows you to talk on many, many more bands on the HF bands than the technician license does. So you've got more choices. And then the highest level is called extra. And again, it just opens up more to talk on, but the extra also gives us the ability to give ham radio exams to other people.
So the general license gets you on the HF bands, the high frequency bands, which allows you to talk across the country and around the world.
Okay.
You can do that with a technician license on one HF band, the 10-meter band.
Yes.
or if you're on a handheld going through the internet. You've got DMR out there,
and D-Star,
D-Star, and Fusion. Okay, and that's radio protocols that allow the radio to connect to the internet, and then the internet broadcasts it basically on certain, they're not channels.
Frequencies?
No.
No.
Chat rooms, nodes, etc. out there.
It's kind of like using a telephone over the internet. So it's
Okay.
going through the internet versus through the radio waves in the air.
Yep. And
But when all that goes to pot, you're back at line of sight pretty much on the 2 meter then.
exactly. So we have the gear to do DMR. We have the gear to do D-Star. D-Star is icon specific. DMR has some generic radios, digital mobile radio. And then Fusion is by Yaesu. So you would have to have a Yaesu radio that had Fusion available. I know that's very confusing.
But Yaesu is just another brand of radio.
Yes. Like Ford, Chevy, Honda, Toyota. Okay. They all make the same thing under a different name. And,
So if people are signed up to come and take your class on, what is it, the 22nd, on Friday before the festival, if they're signed up to come take your class, what level will they be licensed at?
The class is geared toward the technician level. But what we're encouraging everybody to do is we've sent the study material out early. And then we've got 2 Zoom calls that are going to take place before that Friday testing.
Okay.
And if you are scoring 80% better on the practice tests, we're going to encourage you to start studying for your general license. Because once you pass the technician, we're going to give you the opportunity to take the general test.
At the festival,
At the festival.
workshop.
At the workshop,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
A lot of people, if they will go ahead and learn the technician material and get comfortable with it and start studying for the general, the information is similar. The questions are worded a little differently, but the basic information is very similar. And it's amazing at the number of people that can go ahead and pass both levels at the same time in the same day.
I passed both at the same time at the same testing session.
I didn't. I started radio because of him. It was not because I was truly interested, but I love it now.
Right.
So yes, technically you could walk out of there with your general license.
So besides the license, besides the technician and possibly the general license, what else? What are they getting out of your class?
The Zoom meetings. How many of the Zoom meetings are you doing, Brian?
We're doing 2 Zoom meetings.
Okay.
And that's before the festival, correct?
Before the festival.
Okay.
The first one is March the 6th, and the second one is that March 19th.
Okay.
And then the radio.
Okay. And then we're offering a radio. When you sign up for the class that afternoon, we're going to give you a radio.
So they'll get a radio that they can take home.
Yes.
It's
yes.
a handheld radio.
It's a handheld radio
Okay.
that they can use. It's a Bofang, but it's one of their latest Bofangs. It's the UV17.
And we're going to teach them to program it.
And we'll show them how to program it after the testing session is over with that afternoon. We're going to show you how to program the radio and talk on the radio. What are the protocols?
They'll actually get to practice communicating on the radio and doing all of that stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. We're going to teach you how to program the radio, talk on the radio. We'll go through some fun stuff. It's not going to be boring. We're not going to teach you all the theory and stuff. You don't need no theory. You need to know how to talk on radio.
Right.
You push this button to make it talk. You talk into here.
And with some radios, you really need to know how to turn them on.
Yeah.
And that's talking about the theory. That's where a lot of people get bogged down with all the theory and learning. And it's nice to know some of that, but that people are like, well, you got to be an electrical engineer to get your ham radio license.
No.
Hell, there's 10, 12-year-old kids that get their ham radio license all the
And
time.
I think all of that stuff makes it so intimidating, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. There are certain aspects of radio that you really need to understand and know how it works. And then there's other aspects of it you really don't need to know about, because in today's world, we don't go in and repair radios. We don't go in and work on them like they used to back in the day. Okay. So you don't need to know what a Schlotsky diode is. You don't need to know what a lattice crystal is. It's on the test. So just memorize the answer.
Yeah.
But you do need to know, I'm a general. I can only talk on these frequencies in this band. I do need to know that when I'm transmitting, I don't need to be holding onto the antenna.
And we'll teach those things, and we'll have band plans for the members of the class, and we'll explain it to them.
And the thing about it is, everybody that has signed up for the class has our email address. They have my phone number. So if they have questions while they're studying, they can more than reach out to us.
Good deal.
That's the advantage of it. And we look at ham radio as a fun hobby. We want you to get your radio, have fun with it, because if you have fun with it, you're going to use it, you're going to practice it. So if something does come up, you'll know how to use that radio.
Exactly. And also getting on the testing part, if somebody already has their technician license and they want to go for their general, can they come in and just take the test portion of it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And that's
there's going to be a fee involved, because we pay ARRL. We are licensed ARRL volunteer examiners. So we pay ARRL $15.
And so those that signed up for the class have already paid that fee. But if
Yes.
they're coming in just for the test session, they will need to come with their FRN number, a photo ID, and their $15 test fee.
All right. Hey, Linda, that's the 6th
Linda,
and the
it's
19th.
March 6th and the 17th, right?
No, March
19th.
19th.
Sorry, March 6th
19th.
and the 19th.
Yes.
All right. And I just wanted to clear that up, because some people might want to come and just take their general, and it's a $15 fee to take their general then.
Yes.
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 And I would love for them to come test with us.
Yes.
That would be great.
Now that morning at 8:00, we're going to do a ham cram session.
That's for the class, though.
That's for the class. So if you paid for the class from 8 to about 12 or 11, between 11 and 12, depends on how it goes, we're going to be doing a review. And it's called a ham cram, because we go over the question pool fast. We give you the question, we give you the answer, and if you have a question, we'll discuss it. All right? And then we'll administer the test. So those people coming in specifically for the test will not get to participate in that, but they'll just get to come in and sit for the test.
So will that be the ham cram? Will that be for the technician test or the general test?
That would be for the technician test.
But if
Okay.
they've got questions about the general, we'll answer them.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The material is very similar.
Yes.
It's just a little more in depth on the general side.
And I'm going to try to get my extra soon.
Are you going to test with us?
I don't know. I need to start studying.
So are all of the costs for the test, are they included in the cost of the workshop?
Yes.
Yes. The only fee that is not included is the FCC has
A $35 license fee after you pass that first technician test, and your license is issued. Before you actually get it, you have to pay the FCC $35.
Okay.
Yeah, Scott says the extra is well worth it. Scott,
Yes, it is.
right? Brian and Susan have been all over me since we met. They're like, you need to get your extra. You need to get your extra. So I'm going to try. So I tried my extra when I passed my general, and I missed it by like 3 or 4 questions. And I was just like, crap. So
those letters that Shane has on his, can you put that back up there? The letters that he has, what is that?
That is his call sign.
So once is that like once you get your technician, you get a call sign?
Yes. The FCC issues you a call sign.
Okay.
My call sign is Kilo Golf 5 Victor Echo Kilo. So that's KG5 VEK.
Now we passed our technician. Well, he passed technician in general. I passed technician on the same day. My call sign is Kilo Golf 5 Victor Echo Papa. So the only letter that's different is the very last letter of our call sign. So mine's KG5 VEP.
Gotcha.
I see Evan has joined us in the group. Hey, Evan.
And Linda asked if you can, is it okay if she registers by March 1st?
Yes.
Yes.
That is fine.
That's totally fine.
Okay.
And what about some late registration people? Is that going to be fine too?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And if you want to register late for it, you might miss that first Zoom meeting, but you can still get everything else. If that's not a big problem with you, you can still, even if you register, closer to the dates, you might miss out on a Zoom meeting and miss out on a little bit of it, but you can still come to all the class and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we'll get the book out. We've been actually shipping the books out FedEx. Yeah. So they're getting them in 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And Evan said it was a great day to talk radio. I think everybody and their mom was crawling out of the woodwork talking about radio stuff today.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially with the phone cellular things going down.
And the radio, the local frequencies around here were much more active today than they have been in a while.
And then look, Chuck showed up.
Hey, Chuck.
Hey,
Hey, Chuck.
Chuck's upset that he can't come because he's teaching a class too. So
Right.
We got to plug Chuck's class also. If you're not into the ham radio scene, Chuck with Homestead Medical has got a Homestead Medical class that's going to be going on Friday also, and you can find all that info. You can find all the info at KentuckySustainableLiving.com. That's our website that's got everything on it. That info. You can find all the info at Kentucky. Tell Randy to turn his thing down.
Yeah, he knows.
Well, I'm like Chuck. I'm sad that I'm not going to get to take his class because I need some of the medical training.
We do.
Well, I'll tell you, that's one of the things, when we look for the people to teach workshops, we're looking for practical application. Like you said earlier, there may be a lot of theory that goes into radio. I'm sure there is. There's a lot of that technical stuff that I do not understand, and I'm probably not going to be able to understand it or whatever. But I want somebody to teach me how to use a radio, teach me how to talk on a radio. Chuck teaches people how to do, medical stuff. And that's what we're looking for, is that practical application for the workshops that we provide.
Yeah. And that's what we do. And appreciate it, Evan. Evan's a good guy. He does a lot of neat stuff out there. We want people to have fun with radio because radio is fun. Especially the way we do it,
And Scott, if you've been looking at Chuck's class, Chuck did a 2-day class at my place for some of our members of KSL, and it was stinking amazing. I mean, he went over everything with us. If you're looking into a medical class, I would highly advise to come the Friday before the festival and take Chuck's class for sure. You can email Chuck. He'll answer any of your questions for you, what it's going to cover. It doesn't cover just the cool guy ninja stuff. It covers way, way more than that. All right, let's switch back to radios now. So,
and after the test, Okay, we'll talk a little bit about that. You've passed your test now, and everybody goes, okay, what do I do with this? You know, well, we're going to teach you what to do with that. You know, how to talk on it, what its limitations are. Because, you know, you walk in there and you see these little radios and it says 20 to 25 miles. Well, it doesn't work 20 to 25 miles. Okay. It does 3 to 4 miles unless you're in the middle of the desert or on the ocean.
Yeah.
Or you have lots of linked repeaters in your area.
Yeah. And what a repeater is, we keep talking about that. On a radio tower, you'll have an antenna, and down below you'll have another radio. So I will key my radio up. It'll talk to that repeater on that frequency. It'll hit that antenna, go down to that radio, and then get rebroadcasts out of that other radio. Like the local repeater that we use is on a 500-foot tower. Okay. So that gives us about a 30 to 40 mile coverage off of that tower, off of a regular handheld radio. Because that antenna is so high up there, and it just, the radiated pattern is so big that it covers a lot of ground.
And these radios, depending on what part of the country you live in and what the terrain is like, it will go further in some places than it will at other places. And then there are a lot of locations in a lot of states that have more repeaters than, say, we do in Mississippi. And
a lot of it has to do too with your foliage cover, buildings, and stuff like that. How the signal propagates. You know, UHF versus VHF and stuff like that. That's some stuff that you'll kind of learn in there. You know, when to use what and stuff like that.
Right.
Yes.
And these radios that were given for the class are what we call dual band radios, meaning they will talk on VHF and UHF.
And there's certain times to use, there's certain times to use UHF and certain times for VHF.
Yes.
Yes.
And I get them confused every time.
Yeah. And a lot of that, we just say, you know, try it out in your area and see what works in your area.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll talk. Go ahead.
So these antenna towers or repeaters or whatever, are these things that have been put up by, like, say, local government, or is it radio clubs that do this, or what are we using something that's, you know, like AT&T, or how does that work?
Most of the repeaters are owned and maintained by a radio club or an individual. It's not the government. It's not a business. And some of the radio clubs will make them private unless you pay to use them. Others will make them public, and anyone is free to use them. We will be sharing websites, apps where you can get that information and find out what's around you, especially if you're traveling, what's going to be close to you, and whether you can use that repeater or not use that repeater. But it's not typically government owned. It's going to be a radio club or an individual that maintains it.
And a lot of times what's involved is a club will go in and lease space on a tower to put their antenna on there. And that's where the fees come in. That, you know, you have club dues, and the dues go to help pay for that repeater.
So is there like passwords to get into that or something? Is that how they keep people out of them?
They use tones,
which is it changes the frequency just a little bit. It's a number thing.
Yeah, you've got to have the right tone to make it talk to you, is what it boils down to.
Forrest is still reading the book that he got from y'all. Did Forrest buy a coloring book? Because I don't know.
Forrest, you're going to come test with us, right?
Yeah.
Forrest, you do. You need to come up and test with them.
But and then you can get into what's called linking your repeaters, meaning that if you've got Georgia's real big at this. they'll have a repeater in Atlanta, and then they'll have another repeater that's about 30 miles away or 40 miles away. And the repeaters will talk to each other. So if you're on the north end of the state, you can actually talk to somebody down all the way on the south end of the state through what they call a linked repeater.
Okay. So if I take the class in March and get my technician license, is it possible for me to talk to you all when you're in Mississippi, right?
Yes.
And I'm in South Central Kentucky. Is it possible for me to talk to you all on the radio? Or do I need the general to do that?
You need the general
You
to do
need the
that.
general unless you went into one of those D-Star, Fusion, or DMR type radios.
That's the internet thing, right?
That's the internet thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's string link there in Northeast Kentucky as well.
Yeah. And it's Echo Link.
Echo
You
Link.
got Echo Link,
Okay.
yes. That's one of the other ones I forgot. No, your best bet, Shelley, would be go for general, because all the other stuff is good, but it uses outside infrastructure, meaning internet, and depending on how the repeaters are linked, if they're internet linked, internet goes down, well, that link is broken. You
Right.
can't talk any further.
Right.
Some of them are RF linked, which means they're radio linked to each other. But for you and I to talk, the best thing, let's get you on your general license, get you a ham station set up, and we can talk.
Jeremy's got a question. So linked repeaters like that the sheriff's department use. The sheriff's department, they're not really using linked repeaters, are they?
No,
Theirs are called trunked.
a lot of their stuff is trunking, but again, in UHF, VHF situations, two things help control that: a tall antenna and power. Okay. If you have a tall antenna, like I told you, we have a 500 footer out here. If you have that, you cover a larger area. You can cover an entire county that way from a patrol car or the lapel mic like he's talking about, simply because they have height on their tower.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the UHF and the VHF, height is the major thing there.
Yes.
Yes. The higher, the better.
The higher, the better.
But
So we're
now,
gonna-
when the power goes out or the grid goes down or you lose electricity, in our case, frequently because of tornadoes, the repeaters typically have a backup battery. But once that battery dies, if it's not solar powered, then the repeater's not going to work either
Yeah.
until the power's been restored.
So that's why we talk about practicing to find out how far your radio will go on what we call simplex, which is meaning radio to radio with no additional help.
And
So
Shelley,
are there different degrees of power with the radios? Like, are
Yes.
there
Yes.
more powerful radios? Okay.
Yes. Your average handheld, your HT, goes from an advertised 5 watts up to about advertised 10 watts. Realistically, they'll put out 3 to 4, 8 to 9 watts of power. But then you can get into your mobiles or your base stations. And I've got a 2-meter base over there that does 80 watts. And I can put an amplifier on it to do 400 watts. So with a proper antenna, I can reach out there and talk some distance with it.
And there are legal limits to how much power you can put through the radios, depending on what it is, what you're trying to do.
I know on the HF side, it is 1,500 watts.
Shane said something, wants to talk about a field day a little bit.
Or
Talk
talk about
about
it.
it.
That's a
That's a
good
good
example if they
example.
wanted to check out all the frequencies. Yes. If you ever get the opportunity to attend a local Radio Club's Field Day operation, which is the 4th Saturday in June for Summer Field Day coming up, go, because they will have different kinds of radios set up. They will have people talking on single sideband. They will have some doing CW, the Morse code. They will have some working digital, and they'll have antennas set up. And it's a good way to see all of the different kinds of radios, antennas, and what they can and can't do.
And you can also get on the radio.
Yes.
A lot of clubs will have what's called a GOTA station, which is a get on the air station. And they will take people that aren't licensed, because you will have a licensed person sitting there with you, and put them on the air. Let them talk on the radio. Let them see what it feels like.
That's cool.
We do that a lot. Field Day, you have hams basically all over the world set up that weekend and trying to make contact with each other. It runs 24 hours, Saturday through Sunday. And it's a big event. People go out, they set up big antennas in fields, and you set up outside of your normal ham shack. And I know we had, for Winter Field Day, which took place the last weekend in January, we had about 30 people where we were. And we had radio set up and taught people how to talk on the radio. That's Field Day is a great opportunity.
You can see a lot of different stuff at the Field Day.
Yes.
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 Forrest has got a question. With a technician license, can I reach Tupelo from Fayetteville?
From Fayette.
Fayette, Alabama.
Through one of the repeaters, possibly.
There's a repeater down close to you, and I can't remember the name of it. Possibly, yes.
So we talked to people in Hamilton and Moulton.
It would be close. I don't know where the repeater is down in your area, but we do talk to people in Hamilton and Moulton.
Oh, and
Florence.
Florence, yes.
Yeah, because there's a big tower up in Tishomingo that I can hit from here in Tupelo, and our friend right outside Florence can hit. So he and I talk together on that. And that's covers a pretty good distance.
And Scott, if you want to get a hold of me, we can talk about doing a homesteader net. I'm game for that.
That would be neat.
Yes.
Yeah. Scott, get a hold of us and we will talk and sit down and figure out a schedule for that pretty soon. So now switching gears, we'll grind some gears real quick. Go over, you hear a lot of people talk about a PACE plan. They've got a PACE plan for this. They've got a PACE plan for this and that. Let's talk a little bit about a communication PACE plan and kind of, I guess, explain to everybody what the PACE plan means and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
See,
A PACE plan deals with setting up alternative methods. PACE stands for primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. Okay? So
Okay.
Primary for a communications PACE plan, that right there.
Most of us carry one of these around all day long. Your cell phone, you call, you
Right.
text, and then we use that as a primary form of communication. That's what I'm going to try first if I need to contact him.
Right.
Then if it doesn't work,
You go to your alternate method. So she's going to reach out like today.
I was
We
going to say, is
reached
that
out-
what you did today?
That's what we did today.
Okay.
All right. We primarily talk on the phone. Well, we couldn't talk. So then we went to the alternate side, our next step down, which is text message. Okay.
many times that text message will work on a cell phone when the voice side of it does not, because they operate on different paths through the
Through the cellular
cell
system.
towers.
Okay. So the primary is you're talking on the phone on voice. Your alternate is your text messaging. And that's stuff we do every day long. Every day, we don't even think about it.
And there's other communication apps you can put on your cell phone that will possibly also work when the voice side of it does not.
Because I know Zello was working for some people today when they could not dial out, but they could use the Zello app. It's a free app. You can download it. And
We use that at work for our emergency preparedness at work.
There you go.
that's it. Okay. So primary, then your alternate, then your contingency. In my particular case, with one of my friends, we had to go to contingency because he couldn't text. So we used the radio. We know what frequency we're going to be on. He reached out and called me. I was in my truck and we carried on a conversation. So
in each step of this plan has agreed upon, well, of course, the phone and text, we're going to know the phone numbers, but when you move to the radio, it has a understood, agreed upon frequency that you're going to go to versus trying to search the whole band.
Okay.
Everybody knows that if the phone's not working, text is not working, and you're going to the handheld radio, you're going to go to this frequency to talk to me.
right. In our particular case, our repeater is on 145.490. That is our 2 meter frequency in this area. So he reached out to me on that and we talked for that, got caught up. Everybody was okay. Then you've got emergency. Emergency can be your if you've got a satellite text message or a satellite phone, you could use that. You can use HF. If you're trying to get out of region, say you have had a tornado that's come through, it's devastated everything in your area, so you have to talk out of your area, chances are you're going to have to use the HF side of radio to do that.
Or if radio is not an option, and say I'm at work in town and he's at work on the other side of town, you have agreed upon place where you're both going to try to go to meet up if nothing else works.
And and we teach people that. We get with teams, we get with groups, and we teach them their let's see, Garmin InReach devices are also large. Okay.
We've gone to SpotX for the same thing.
Yes, we use SpotX instead of the Garmin InReaches. But we take teams and teach them a PACE plan for communications. Since that's primarily what we deal with, but you can develop a PACE plan for power outage, for a grid down situation. What's your PACE plan for that?
Right.
No primary, you got normal commercial electricity. All right. Your alternate may be a battery, maybe a generator. And then you've got contingency, you got solar panels. And then emergency, broke out the lanterns, Yep. But you can develop a PACE plan for everything.
And we've even gone so far to think about Ron's parents are elderly. They're in their 90s, and we are their primary caregivers. But we have a lady that sits with them in the daytime. So we have a plan with her if something should happen of ways that she can contact us. So we've developed a PACE plan just for that part of our family.
Mm-hmm. And with her, it's primarily a phone tree.
Yes.
If she can't reach me, she goes to Susan. If she can't reach Susan, she calls my daughter. If she can't reach the daughter, she calls the son-in-law. Okay, so that PACE plan is a phone tree.
Yes.
In that particular case.
Yeah. I mean, I use my radios today. My wife works from the house. I had to go and sit with my dad while my mom went to the doctor. So I pulled radios out, set it up for her, and I was like, if you need something, all you got to do is turn it on, and then I'll have one at my parents' house, which was about 4 miles away. So just in case something went crazy with the phones again. So we had that set up, and it literally took me 5 minutes to take it up to the house and be like, here, it's ready to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did the same thing. I turned everything on here.
He did. And for a long time, we made me a cheat card with the frequencies on it because I turn numbers around and I'll end up in the wrong place. And I still carry one. When we said to do this, I'll write it out. So I've got a small card that'll fit my wallet. It's got my frequencies on it that I know I'm supposed to use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my brother,
with that, tape it to the back of the radio.
If you got one of the handhelds.
If you got it for your handheld, tape it to the radio. So it's always there.
Right.
Look at it and say, okay, well, I can't reach him on this frequency, but I can go to the next one down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And my brother, I set my brother up with all his radio stuff. I bought all of it, gave it to him. I'm like, keep this in your truck, showed him how to work all of it. And I'm like, we're only going to use this if we've got to. And he's got a plan set in there. He's got a nice mag mount antenna, all the cables, a radio, and everything. And he keeps it in there. I was surprised, but he actually keeps the thing in there all the time.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, Shelly. You can take this radio, disconnect this antenna, hook it up to a magnetically mounted antenna on the top of your car, like the old CB antennas used to be.
Right.
And connect it to this and double the range.
It will go further.
Same radio. You're just improving the antenna.
We actually have one of those because Randy's a truck driver. So we have his CB and all of that stuff. So
yeah.
Yep.
Well, now CB could be part of your PACE plan as well.
Yes, it can. If you've got CBs on both ends, it could be part of the plan.
You know, it doesn't have to be just ham radio.
Right.
You've got GMRS radio, General Mobile Radio Service out there. Because we've got some people that don't want to take the test for whatever reason. You know, some don't feel they can pass it. They're a little older and maybe they just don't feel they can do it. So you can get a GMRS license for $35.
You just fill out the form and send it in.
And send it into the government. Okay. And
you
those
don't have to take
radios,
a test or anything for that, right?
no test,
Yeah.
no nothing.
You just pay the fee.
And like we have one GMRS license and it covers your whole family.
Gotcha.
The mom, the dad, the children, everybody.
Yeah. And we've got a group that we're working with right now that really don't want their ham license at this point. So, okay, fine. We've instructed them how to go in and get their GMRS license. We've got GMRS radios for them. They're all programmed. So now they can talk between their households if something came up.
Very cool.
Yeah. And GMRS radios can go up to 50 watts.
And Shelly,
with
you.
Go ahead.
What? Shelly, with you and I, the distance we're apart, we would probably have to do HF and do like an NVIS setup to where you would need your general. I've got my general. So we would probably just our distance and terrain in between us. We could talk pretty easily with HF.
Okay.
Yep. And when he talks about NVIS, that's a type of antenna. Okay. Near vertical incident skywave. In high frequency radio, HF radio, the radio signal goes up, it hits the ionosphere and bounces back down again. Where your handhelds, it comes off the antenna and just goes in a straight line. It doesn't go up, doesn't come back down. So in order to talk to people close in, you have to make that signal go up and come down at a sharper angle. So you can talk inside that range. And that's what that NVIS antenna does. It allows you to talk within 300 miles is the typical.
Which I've fallen in love with that setup. That's what I've got. Look, Chase showed up late to the party.
Hello,
Hey,
Chase.
Chase.
Hey,
Oh.
Melissa. Can't wait to see you at the festival.
Yep. All right, Shelly, let's talk about the Festivus. That's what we're going to refer to, Festivus.
Festivus.
That's
All
like
right. So,
that's like on the Trolls movie, how they have Festivus.
Not festivities.
so the festival, the actual festival, is March 23rd and 24th. If you would like to come to the Amateur Ham Radio workshop, that's going to be the day before on Friday, March 22nd. You can get all of the information about the ham radio class or Chuck's medical class or the festival. You can find all of that information at KentuckySustainableLiving.com. The festival is located in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's at the WKU Ag Expo Center. We have camper camping available. There's not tent camping available, but you can find information about camper camping on there. There's also hotels around that you can, check out. What else? You want to talk about the dinner?
Yes, we are doing a dinner Saturday night, a charity dinner for Vets for Child Rescue. You can get tickets on the website. The tickets are $250 a ticket. You get to eat dinner with all the speakers and presenters, and the big thing about it is we're raising money for an awesome cause. Probably personally, that's the best cause that you could be out there doing. But you can get tickets for that. We're going to have prime rib dinner. Check Billy out. He said it was the best prime rib he's had in a long time. So, but we'll have probably the menu. I know the menu will be prime rib, loaded potatoes, and salads. And then we're probably going to have some real good wine and some real good bourbon there also. So, I've got to hook up.
That? You got to hook up?
No, I found a local distillery like 30 miles away, and the guy's like, I'll give you local craft bourbon.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
There you go.
So you just got to make friends with the distiller.
Yes. Put it in the raffle.
Well, we're going to have, he is actually donating, it's 3 different types of bourbon, and then it's got in a wooden box, like a custom wooden box. He said he sells these on his website for $350 a piece. He's given us one. He's given us one of those, and that's going to be one of the auction items for the charity dinner.
Nice.
So,
Very cool.
But yeah, the charity dinner is going to be Saturday night. You get to hang out with all the speakers and presenters and have a good meal for an awesome cause. And Jeremy took Chuck's class last time, and he's like, if you need to take it, if you haven't, go ahead and take it. Shelly, go over the speakers because I know you got it in front of you, so I don't have to do it off of memory.
Give me just a minute. Let me bring up my list.
Melissa's bringing a whole herd of people with her.
I know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so speakers that we have coming, along with Susan and Brian, we've got Chuck Peoples. He's going to be doing a demonstration on building a medical bag. This is in the festival. He is doing the workshop on Friday, but you'll also be able to talk to him. He's going to have a booth set up. So will Susan and Brian. They'll have a booth set up. Emily Rock is going to be there. If you were at the festival last year, she was the woman that had the dairy cow. This year, she's going to have a whole petting zoo. And you'll be able to talk to her about raising animals on your homestead. She's really good at that. Been doing it her whole life.
She just had a bull calf this morning. She just had a bull calf this morning, yeah.
Awesome. Toolman Tim is going to be there, and he's going to be talking about killing the poverty mindset, getting out of that. Leslie Gossett is going to be, she's our herbalist. She was there last year too. She's going to be talking about, anything herbal, building an herbal medicine cabinet. She's going to be doing a foraging walk. She's going to be demonstrating how to make tinctures, all of the things. So anything herbal that you want to talk to her about or ask her about, she's going to be there for that. Bill Stormfeather is going to be there this year, and he's going to be talking about what happens in the first 30 days after an economic collapse. Jeff Smith, who was it last week that we talked to Jeff?
Yeah, last week.
Jeff Smith is going to be talking about preparedness 101, everything that you need to do to start getting prepared. We've got Amanda Blount coming, and she's going to be talking about microfarming. It doesn't matter how much land you have or how little land you have. She's going to teach you how to grow food to sustain yourself and maybe even make some money off of it. William Bond is going to be there. So if you're not familiar, you should be familiar with William, but his dad is Billy Bond from Permapastures Farm. It's always been Billy, Michelle, and William that have done that. William and his wife have actually moved to Texas, and they are starting it's going to be like a permaculture classroom in Texas. They're using their old property out there, and they're building from the ground up the whole permaculture setup. So William's going to be talking about if you're on the beginning side of this, or even if you're not on the beginning side of it, how to build that permaculture homestead. He's also going to be bringing his microscope, and if you want to bring some soil from your place, he can take a look at it under the microscope and tell you how healthy it is or what you need to do to fix it. We've also got Jason, who is Angry Prepper, and he is a New York City firefighter. And he's going to be talking about bugging out of an urban environment. So he's kind of in one of the most urban environments, and he's going to teach you how to deal with that.
Yeah.
Who else have we got?
Chris Weatherman.
Chris.
Oh, yes. Chris Weatherman. Angry American. I don't know what the deal is, y'all, but there's a lot of angry people in the preparedness space. But, the Angry American, Chris Weatherman, is going to be there. So if you're not familiar with Chris, he writes, he's written, I want to say it's like 23 books. And one of the series that he has written is the Survivalist series, or some people know it as the Going Home series. All of the books are like escaping home and resurrecting home and all of that kind of thing. I'm completely addicted to these. So when Jason told me, I didn't know who he was. I'm just going to be honest with you. I didn't know who he was. And Jason said, we were having a meeting with our crew that helps with the festival. And Jason said, I got Chris Weatherman, Angry American, and all of them were so excited. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying or you're talking about or whatever. And so I thought, since I don't know who this guy is, I should probably read one of his books and familiarize myself with that because, I don't want to look like an idiot talking to the guy. I started book 7 today. I'm completely addicted to the Survivalist series. Yep. I love them. So he's going to be there and talking about, I'm not sure what is he talking about?
We're going to wing it. We don't know yet. I will find out tomorrow because I'm interviewing Chris tomorrow. We're going to record it and then I'm going to release it either Saturday or Sunday. So I'll be talking to Chris and I will pin him down.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. About. But he is going to have a booth set up. And if you have any of his books, you want to get them signed or you want to buy any of his books and get them signed, we're super excited about having him. And like I said, if you haven't read the Survivalist series, you need to read that series. It's really, really good. Great character development, great storyline. Like I said, I'm addicted.
Susan gave me book 12 for Christmas.
Yeah, there you go.
So I've read the whole series up to 12.
And then we've also got the Naked and Afraid guys. We've got EJ Snyder. Yes. EJ Snyder from Naked and Afraid is coming. And then Gary Golden from Naked and Afraid will also be there.
Cool.
Okay.
But they will be
closed. You don't have to worry about that. They will have clothes on.
Hey, Eric showed up.
Ah.
Hey, Eric.
Good evening.
You think about Eric and then he just pops in.
Yep.
So, is that everybody that's going to be there that we can think of right this second?
I think so, that I can think of. Did I say Toolman Tim? Yeah, I said Toolman Tim. Sean Terrio. He's going to be talking about digital privacy.
Yes.
And keeping your stuff safe, all of your information and all that kind of thing. I think that's it.
I don't have time for both.
No.
So again, go to KentuckySustainableLiving.com to get all of the information about all of the stuff. Also, you can get your tickets to the festival at KentuckySustainableLiving.com. If you use promo code email25, you can get $10 off your tickets. Children 17 and under are free. So go check it out. Find out all of the information. Get your tickets now so we know you're coming.
Yep. And Brian and Susan, how y'all will have a booth there. Y'all are going to be selling radios, antennas, if you can make them. And
You said you weren't going to bring that up anymore.
And I told you he would, didn't I? I told you he'd tell me that.
when
He is
I said it, it was over an hour, so it was game.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, y'all will be selling radios, antennas. What all else? You'll have bags for radios too.
We've got bags, hard cases, batteries. We've got some 12 amp hour LiPo batteries and battery boxes that the battery, you set the battery up and it is basically a battery station. You can plug anything 12 volt into it and on the go. Little bigger than a normal ammo can, about a 50 caliber ammo can size. It's got power ports on top of it. It's got the digital readout, so you know how much battery life you've got left in there. We've got some kits that we're putting together.
In our WROL
Yes,
cards.
and our cool card game, without rule of law card game. We will have those in the booth as well.
I hear a lot about that from the Midwest Preparedness crew. They talk about that all the time.
It's fun. I think there's like 300 cards in the deck. And
We need to play that Friday night.
we can do that.
We can.
I've got a set. I'll provide the set. We'll play it. It'll be fun. But we've got some communication kits put together, a couple of radios with batteries and stuff in there. It's all put in a go box. You pick it up, throw it in the car, and off you go.
And we've got Patriot batteries out of South Carolina is going to be there. They sell lithium batteries.
Good.
So they're an actual manufacturer and sell those. So they're going to have their batteries there also, which will be pretty cool. Y'all can cross-pollinate on that.
Yes, we will.
If you'll drop me some info from them, I'll touch base with them early.
All right.
Good deal.
I'll send it to you after this.
Yeah, and see if we can make sure we put some of their stuff in the booth and use it with our radios, do demos for them.
All right. Brian, Susan, where can everybody find you at?
We actually do have a website now, an informational website.
Yep.
SB, I'm thinking about it, SBHomesteadRadios.com.
Shelly, can you put that in there
Let's verify.
in the chat?
Say it again.
We're verifying it's SBRadios.com. It may be Homestead Radios.
All right.
Or you can reach out to us at sbradios@protonmail.com.
Yes, that's the easiest way to
That's
get
the
us.
easiest way to get us.
SB Radios didn't work in my browser. So
Yeah.
it might be Homestead?
Yes.
SB Homestead Radios?
Yes, it's a new web page we've just put together.
All right, that's it. Hold on
That's
a minute.
it.
I will put that in the comments.
Okay.
And if somebody wants to donate $10,000 to us, we can get the website ksl.com. So y'all won't have to spell out. So you won't have to spell out the whole thing. So, because I checked.
Now Jason gets sponsors because he just bugs people for money and then they pay him to go away.
So we're gonna have a jar, website name change jar.
There you go.
That's what it is. $10,000 for that. I was like, screw that. I'll spell it.
Yes. Because
Wow.
somebody's already got it, don't they?
Yeah, it's a news channel.
Oh, yeah.
So, All right, Shelly, where can everybody find you?
You can find us on YouTube at 20 Crows Homestead, or you can find us at 20crowshomestead.com and get you some soap.
Yes. Then now, is the Sexy Beast going to be limited now?
I'm working on a reformulation. I should have some at the festival. We'll have to see. Randy cut it. I made some new Sexy Beast, and Randy cut it for me today, I think he said.
Yeah.
And it turned out okay. I think it's going to be really good, but I just got to wait and see.
But if you want Sexy Beast, buy it now because it might never come back, right?
Right.
I'm going to let you sign the 2 bars that I've got left.
You're such a goober.
All right. You can find me on YouTube, Kentucky Sustainable Living. Our website's KentuckySustainableLiving.com. Guys, if you plan on coming, get your tickets ahead of time. They're going to be cheaper if you get them now. They're full price at the door. Don't tell me email 25 at the door because I'm still going to be, it's $35 then. So get those. And
we'll have Jeanette at the door, and she's an enforcer.
Yes. Jeanette will be mean. She'll stomp you in the ground if you cross her. So, but guys, I'm glad that y'all were here with us tonight, Brian and Susan. I appreciate it a bunch.
Thanks for having us.
We'll see y'all next Thursday. Stay on with us, Brian.
Okay.